Hello, welcome to AstroEnergy with Astrologer Angel Shelley Overton. Hello, welcome and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Shelley Overton. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio. I want to say hi and welcome. It is overcast, of course, in Orlando, Florida, but it's a little cooler, so maybe that means it's getting cooler. I don't know. I tend to doubt it, although this time of year we're getting closer to fall and we're getting closer to school time, which always means weather is getting cooler. So it's 78 degrees and we're going to get rain today. Color me surprised. Anyway, so it's good to have you here. We have a lot to talk about today. We had a lot to talk about this week, too. If you were on listening, we had a Mercury Retrograde on Wednesday, and that happened at 10:02 p.m. in the evening Pacific, and then Thursday morning in the Eastern time zone at 1:02 a.m. I'm just kind of going over it right now, and then I'll tell you what it all means, because that's the number one question I get. What does it mean? And that's why I'm here. So we had a lunar eclipse last Friday. It was pretty intense, pretty amazing. It was red, and I thought that was kind of interesting because, of course, the moon was right next to Mars, so Mars is red also. And so we had a lot of red energy going on. Real quick, before I continue, I have a note to myself that's popped up here on the screen. I just want to remind you, or not remind you, but share it with you, that we have basically recorded 500 shows since I began. So I just wanted to mark the occasion. And we have had over 300,000 listens to this podcast. So I'm pretty happy and excited about that. I mean, that's pretty significant in my book. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that to you and say thank you for calling in and supporting the show for 10 years. I can't believe it's been on 10 years. Maybe 8. Is it only 8? Oh my gosh. No, it's only 8. So we've got a couple years for that milestone. But anyway, if you're interested in getting a reading, you can call in at 347-994-3365 and be sure to press 1 so I know you want a reading. So anyway, getting back to this, today is the last day of July. We have Moon is conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and so actually just a little bit past. So it's 19 degrees Pisces, and Neptune is at 16 degrees retrograde. We have, I'm just going down the ephemeris here. Moon is sextile to Pluto in Capricorn at 10:27 this morning, and it in conjuncts Mercury at 3:32 p.m., which I can pretty much guarantee something's going to happen this afternoon with an in conjunct to Mercury, because Mercury in Leo is a really big, like, words and bragging are going to happen, hyperbole, tall tales, all of that. In conjunct to the moon next to Neptune means that there is a dream and a vision of how we want things to be collectively, and the moon is in alignment with that today. So it's much more intuitive, and it's a water sign, so the water sign energy is in the emotions, in the ethers, and that can mean that we're really psychic and really tuned in right now, and we have been since the moon was in Aquarius, because moon in Aquarius is clarity of thought, where while it's not necessarily clarity of thinking in Pisces, it is clarity of emotion and connecting to our emotions. So we're very much in awareness of how things are on a subconscious or subliminal level today. And so that means that we're going to be really not happy or pleased with things that are being said to us. And what's being said to us is, I'm sorry to say, it is either a bald-faced lie or it is going to be not taken well, and what we said recently we will be called out for. And possibly we will be calling others out for it, because the in conjunct means that they are absolutely not in cooperation. I want to say Moon at 19 and Mercury is at 22 Leo, so that's the degree of inconjunct. So the moon has a few degrees, about 3 degrees before it's exact with the inconjunct. Like I said here, let's see, I said that was 3:32 p.m. Eastern. So we have a few hours, and something can happen in any of that time, but it's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be another tall tale in politics. And of course, Jupiter is at 13 Scorpio, and so Jupiter is squaring the sun, and the sun is moving closer and closer into an exact square. It's not exact just yet, but let me just see here. Sun and Uranus. Where are you? You're not showing me. Why are you not showing me? Does it not happen until later? I disagree with that. So I think it's going to be 3 days away. No, 5 days, excuse me, 5 days. So let's look a little bit farther along. That's about 5 degrees of time. And the sun moves about a degree a day. And so if you're looking to how long it takes for planets to, okay, so it's going to be the 6th. The sun in Leo squares Jupiter directly on the 6th, which just happens to be my son's birthday, of course. So that'll be an interesting day, because today, I'm just giving you a little insight. Today, Jupiter falls exactly on his Chiron. And so something's going on with him. I think I'll check in with him today to find out what's going on, although it also falls right between my moon and Neptune conjunction. So that's a very powerful energy around truth-telling and information coming out, deep information with Jupiter. Jupiter wants to tell you the truth, tell you what's going on. And of course, like I said, Mercury retrograde in late degrees of Leo is wanting to make things up or go back over something that was already said that may not have been completely the truth. So be on the lookout for fraud. And I only say fraud because Mercury squares Jupiter, Leo, Scorpio, and it isn't Mercury, it isn't Jupiter. It's just that they're in those signs and it brings out those energies. So Mercury is communications, Jupiter is understanding and spirituality, and I would say probably something going on with church, and I wouldn't be surprised, although I haven't paid any attention to English TV or English issues right now, but it's interesting. I kind of pick up there may be something going on between the monarchy and the Church of England. So we've got Saturn at 3 degrees Capricorn in conjunct to the Sun today, and we have Pluto at 19 in conjunct to, like I said, Mercury retrograde, but also not in conjunct, actually sextile to Jupiter. But the in conjunct to the Sun may mean that there is a strong connection of something going on with royalty today. And the North Node at 5 degrees conjunct Sun still by about 3 degrees. Although the Sun has moved past the nodes, Mars is still 3 degrees away from it, but it's retrograde, so it's moving away. So we still have kind of an opposition going on. I do an 8 degree or 8 degrees apart is still in conjunct, or I consider to be an influence in an aspect, but because they are separating aspects, we can't really count. Well, I don't necessarily count it. So, yeah. Anyway, there's a square from the Sun to Uranus as well by the same token. And anyway, so and Uranus, of course, is the electrical energy and connection to other. Oh, I'm so sorry. I got a phone call. Hang on one second. I'm going to not take it necessarily, but I do have to interrupt the broadcast for just a second. I apologize. Okay, sorry about that. I had to take care of some family business. It was urgent. Anyway, I apologize. So Uranus is squaring the Sun, and that is a connection, again, of electrical energy of wanting to move forward. It's early degrees, and I did want to say that early degrees of any sign is the initiating energy. It's brand new. It's creating something new and fresh, and maybe something we don't understand, but coming into our world and giving us information. And so we have this square between the Sun and Uranus, and the Sun, of course, rules the opposite sign Uranus rules, which is Aquarius. And so that means that Mars in Aquarius is answering Uranus while the Sun is squaring Uranus and the Sun is opposing Mars. So we have this really strong stress aspect around ego, around collective freedom and freedom of thought, which is Uranus, freedom of action, which is Mars, and a restriction of action, which is on Mars retrograde. And then we have this strong personage taking our attention. It's the Sun in Leo. It is about fame. It's about spotlight. It's about leadership. And then Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is about the collective. In Taurus, it makes it more stoic and less likely to want attention. So there is a kind of a working energy, like, hey, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Earth signs are very much practical about work. And so we're wanting to get to work and do something with the collective, do something to grow something new. And yet it is not being met with the powers that be in the spotlight. So the Sun and Mercury are right there, actually coming into communication is probably a better word. As Mercury goes back towards the Sun moves towards Mercury. So the two are having a powwow, so to speak, that they are kibitzing. I don't know. I'm coming up with all sorts of phraseologies, but the Sun is about creativity. It's about wanting to connect. That's why it rules romance. And Mercury is much more detached, but in Leo, it is obviously thinking about the connection because that's what Leo does. So Mercury thought communications is wanting to express, and what it's doing, whether it's doing it in a arrogant or bragging way, which Leo can be in its negative energy, or a generous, cooperative, let's connect to charity and children's events and children's issues. Mercury wants to communicate, but it wants to connect. And if it's not feeling connected, it will do what it needs to get the attention. And when I say connect, it means relate. And when I say relate, it means that I understand you and you understand me. But if it doesn't feel understood, its reaction on two levels. First, the Mercury can be communicative, which is its Gemini form, the air energy. And in the Earth form, it wants to work and come up with solutions and be analytical and critical. And in Leo, the analysis, the criticism, and the ideas are expressed through Leo. So creative endeavors, and that means creative communication and as well as creative concepts. So we're going to be seeing that, but in retrograde, Mercury means that it has to go back over something that we've done in the past, something that may have been creative or larger than life, dramatic, and we're going to have to reevaluate it, rework it, and maybe give up what we had seen as the vision and go in a new direction. Now, that being said, in my other life, I do creative endeavors. I have Venus in Leo, and I'm working on a video for a friend who is a musician. And we did this whole video and got it, well, I thought we got it done, but I guess I misunderstood and that there was more to do. And now it was on the back burner for a few years, and now we're working on it again. And during the course of working on it again, we have Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and Saturn. Uranus is about to go retrograde. Neptune is retrograde. So we have a lot of going back over the past. But because it's Mercury in Leo, because it's Neptune in Pisces and Mars in Aquarius, it's an independent project. We are doing it over as an independent project, as a creative endeavor, as a connectedness. So we have this energy coming in that's very much about churning out something new, but we are having to go back because the new is the Uranus once again, but it's about to retrograde, and I'll get to that in a second. And then we are going back over with the energies and reworking it in a new way. So when the planets go direct, yes, there is a potential for redoing it one more time. I'm going to knock wood with that. It's not going to happen, that it'll be the way it's supposed to be. But what happens is we kind of spitball energy, we spitball ideas and creativity and being in that playfulness, and we throw it out there. And Mercury or Sun or any of the planets going direct, they're saying, hey, okay, we're doing this. Then they retrograde, and now we go back and we go, wait a minute, is this really the finished product we want to give out? Maybe not. Maybe we can improve it. So we go back over what we've done. We maybe redo a few things and add a few old things, and then we have another idea, another product. Then the product may or may not be changed as Mercury goes direct. We'll go back direct and say, hey, yeah, those ideas were pretty good, but maybe we could still change it, and I don't like that anymore. And that's a big thing about Mercury changing directions, is this was something that I wanted to do, but I changed my mind again, and maybe really I liked what I had before, or there are elements of what I had before that now I'm committed to, as opposed to wanting to change them. So that's kind of in a nutshell, the energy of a retrograde. It is always going back over what we had done, and whatever planet it is, that's what we're going to do. So in the case of Uranus in Taurus going retrograde, let me see. I don't remember if I said what they did, but I may have. Actually goes next week on the 7th. And the reason I'm mentioning it now is because this week we're going to start to feel it. And again, material goods, which are Taurus, and investments, money, physical things, anything that you're growing from the earth, food, vegetables, plants, and also anything that you're investing in or you're wanting to grow is going to be affected by this, along with all the technology, mass communications, science, the unexpected, explosive energy. That's Uranus. Uranus rules uranium, and so it can be nuclear. I hesitate to say it, but, this year, and it seems like the last 3 or 4 years, the planetary shifts, especially the slower outer planets, definitely are creating very strong shifts in the Earth when they shift. So, the things that normally were just like, hey, this is, just another summer or whatever, we're starting to wake up. The planets have shifted into new signs. We've got Mars in Aquarius, new sign, Uranus in Taurus, new sign. Today, the sun's kind of in a new sign. It just went into Leo last week. And Jupiter, while not in a new sign, is direct. So it's in a new direction, which it hasn't been in since April. So we are now going back to some energy that, with Jupiter, that is more familiar from earlier in the year, and it may bring you new expansive opportunities with partners. And so look to what goes on with Jupiter anyway, definitely affecting what we're doing right now with the square to the sun and trines to Neptune and the moon today. So education, thinking about deeper psychology. I actually have a friend who has a daughter going into high school, and the high school was one that she wasn't particularly fond of, although it is the same one my son went to. She chose to go to a different school, which is a magnet program, and ironically, my son went to the school her daughter's zoned for, which is a magnet program also. But she's signed up for this other school, and she did so at the end of last school year, and I was thinking, well, I don't know if she's really fit for that school, like if it's the right fit for her. And I thought she probably would thrive more at the one my son went to. And now the latest is that she's more interested in being with her friends and going to the one that my son went to. So that's the kind of thing that can happen with Jupiter changing direction, because it rules education. And again, Scorpio is psychology. So I don't know. I think, oh my goodness, okay, the screen just went black. Screensaver. Okay, so looking again, I got off track. and I apologize, that's probably also things that you will see under Uranus. Moon conjunct Neptune today is you're going to be a little bit floaty and flaky maybe. You're going to maybe feel a little bit more drowsy. Uranus retrograding in the next week is going to make you more aware of your mental stability. Are you able to keep your thoughts linear, which Taurus is earth sign. Earth signs usually are very linear. Uranus is not a linear planet. Uranus is a quantum energy, so it wants to go in many different places all at once. And it's good at layering, multitasking, things like that. So when Uranus goes retrograde, it can act more stable on some level, or it can be a little bit more befuddled in connecting the energy, because Uranus moving forward, obviously, it's in its direct motion. It's moving, flowing, going forward, and that the flow of forward for Uranus is thoughts are moving very rapidly. You're very cognizant of the energy of Taurus, which is now what it's in. So we're getting more aware of Earth systems and Earth rhythms. And as Uranus, after it goes direct again, every time it goes direct, we will see more energy and information regarding the Earth, land, property, monetary systems, markets, money systems, and how science can be brought in and higher understanding of true nature of things to making things better and improved for our food, for the world, for Earth energy, ecology, all these things. So, and retrograde means we've not gotten the message. And again, when planets go into a new sign but then retrograde back to the old sign, it means that there's something that we haven't gotten with the energy to begin with. And so now we have to go back over it and try and understand it better. And so specifically this week, I've noticed a lot more energy with Pluto, and the Pluto in conjunct to the Sun. Definitely also Mars coming within 2 degrees of going back into Capricorn. A lot of people I've been talking to have been really struggling with the energy that is not moving forward, with the Mars energy. And it's not them alone. I'm feeling it as well. It's a very strong time of not manifesting and not seeing the usual results from how we've always had results. So the traditional way of cause and effect is I make a cause. This is the way the universe works, and then you see an effect. If I go to the mailbox, there's going to be mail there. I'll bring it back. There's not mail there. Like now with Mars retrograde, it's like you're doing something and it's not being fruitful the way it was. It's not manifesting the way it was. And that's really frustrating. But at this particular cusp of the zodiac, you have authority, career, paternalism, fathers, anything that's authoritarian, paternalistic, or, I think you get the idea. So when we go to Uranus, Uranus is the child, the petulant child who doesn't want to listen to what dad has to say. But the underlying theme is, if we're doing metaphors, is that Capricorn is the dad saying, I know best, father knows best. Any place in your chart where father knows best, that's what's going on with Capricorn. And then Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius is saying, I don't need you to tell me what to do anymore. I'm going to go over here and be myself. And then Capricorn, the energy of Capricorn on our charts, is recognizing that this is difficult to control. And we're not able to control it the way we used to control it. And then Mars is being very vocal about where we want the change to happen. And it's happening in all our charts, in all our lives. And Mars is already in a sign that already he felt, wow, I need to move on. I need to be detached from these things. And maybe we felt really strongly that we wanted to clean house, or we wanted to clean our emotional life, or wherever he is in a chart, whichever house. It could be earth, fire, air, and water. Any of those sign rulerships of any house that it's in, it will take on that area of expertise or desire for shift and clarity. So Mars in Aquarius right now in the chart I have for the top of the hour when I started the show, it's in the fifth house. The fifth house is a fire house. So it's about clearing things through fire. And of course, the whole west of the U.S. is experiencing that cleansing through fire. And then if you're in a water sign, if it's in a water house in your chart, you may have things, leaving your house because of water damage through flooding, or too much emotion, or, it can also be people who are so overwhelmed by water energy that they can't function emotionally and are having very deep, dark thoughts, especially with a trine to Jupiter right now. So again, that's an ongoing thing. That's going to be happening probably till November, as long as Jupiter is in Scorpio. Jupiter's transformation, Scorpio, is death and rebirth, but it is also deep psychology. So it can transform through burning down or killing and rebuilding, or replanting and reemerging in another form. So know that that's just part of that particular vibration. But in a square to Neptune with the moon today can trigger more transition, especially because both signs are emotional. And then Neptune in Pisces is feminine, and actually, hang on. Yeah, and so is Scorpio is feminine as well. So it could be women, emotional situations, women are not as able to handle it. So if you know any women who are struggling emotionally with what's going on, pay attention, especially having Mars within 2 degrees of Capricorn. And then when Mars goes back into Capricorn, that will be, I want to say it's the 14th, but I need to do a second of, oh, there it is. It's the 12th at 10:14 p.m., 7:14 Pacific. So we're seeing that happen also in the next 2 weeks. And so we're really at this, I mean, honestly, I feel it so strongly in this last week. It's just this crux, this crust, denouement, this peak energy of clashing, of stress, of major change. And these planets are really calling for us to look at what the deep truth is of the matter. And so that's how I've been processing it. I've realized that there are themes to what's going on. So it's really helpful if you look in your life and go, okay, this is an ongoing theme for me. And I have my own personal theme, and it connects to physical structures and paternalism and personal value, things like that. And so when this energy is trying to get our attention, it gets stronger. What that theme is gets stronger. And so we're like, and for me, I've told you before, I'm Buddhist, and I chant, and I have goals, and I without getting deeply into that practice, it's definitely something that drives me forward to challenge difficulty in my life. And so there's a concept where when you're met with this extreme, in-your-face situation, one, it's definitely a connection of you to your environment because you're the one experiencing it. So you have this mirror of your own karma and your own life in your environment. And then the other thing is, once you see that mirror and you recognize how horrible it makes you feel, it is your responsibility, Capricorn, that's the energy of responsibility, and Saturn, to recognize that it's your feeling and what is it. Follow the thread of your feeling, and then you can come to a better understanding and shift the energy. So this time in particular, I'm looking at the chart, and I just also saw there is a finger of God aspect going on between Saturn and, I'm trying to see if it's more than one. No, it's just one. Mercury is at the apex, and Neptune moon is at the Neptune moon is sextiling to Pluto, and Pluto is in conjunct to Mercury, and so is the Neptune moon conjunction. So we have this finger of God basically creating an expression. I think of it as like a laser. So the two energies that are sextile, which are three in this case because the moon's right on Neptune, Neptune, Pluto, and the moon are all in cooperation by sextile, and then they form and in conjunct both are all to Mercury. So Mercury is the difficult body or the culmination or expression of the energy of these others. And also another good imagery is a divining rod. So you have one hand on one side and the other hand on the other side of the stick, but the end of the divining rod is the planet that is in conjunct to both hands. So Mercury is at the tip of the divining rod. So it's kind of like directing that laser focus, that laser energy, and honestly blowing it up or bringing it into our awareness. So we have this strong energy of change, of psychology, which is Pluto in Capricorn, and then Neptune moon is home, family, the past, sentimentality, mothers, and on a little bit sadder note, that energy is also in my life through a friend's mother having to go through her 5th round of chemo. So that just started today. So that is also a manifestation of this kind of energy where you have the mother and she's struggling, and you have Uranus about to retrograde in Taurus. So there's a chemo connection, and Uranus is square to Mars in Aquarius. So Mars is ruled by Uranus right now. So there's some energy there. Anyway, I'm kind of getting a little bit more scattered into different things. I don't want to do that. I just wanted to focus on what we're coming up with and seeing. Now, if you want to call in, the number is 347-994-3365. I do have a caller waiting to talk, and I will get to you after the break. And hopefully we'll get some more callers so I can get into some more manifestations of what our energy is for everybody's chart right now, and you can get a little bit more fleshed out view of it. Anyway, I'll talk to you after the break. In these days of stress, running around, responsibilities, we all need a little place to go to make it all better. Is that place sports, football, or maybe you like to garden, paint, or just listen to music? Wherever your happy place is, you can find a shirt or mug to reflect that happy place. At myhappyplace.rocks, we have a variety of lifestyle products, including iPhone cases, pajamas, and pet items, all with beautiful, colorful designs, which help us go to our happy place. Stop by on the web for great gift ideas for others and yourself. myhappyplace.rocks. Lenny Pickett appears courtesy of Random Act Records. Check them out at randomactrecords.com. Anyway, welcome back. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio. My name is Shelley Overton, and I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. If you are interested in getting a reading from me, you can get me at angeliczodiac.com or astrologerangel.com. And if you would just prefer to email me, you can do that at Shelley, SHELLEY, at astrologerangel.com. So anyway, let's take a caller and see what we have. 651, how are you?
Hi, Shelley. This is Linda in Minnesota.
Hi, Linda in Minnesota.
Yes.
Good to talk to you. So
yes,
what can I do?
Yeah. So the last month, I don't think it's been much longer than a month, but the last month for sure, I've just been like so totally feeling out of sorts and really kind of almost like I'm divided in two people. So like there's half of me that just wants to curl up and take a nap with my blankie and spirit.
Right.
And there's the other half of me that feels like, Tasmanian devil and Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
and that's a little more settled, and I'm not quite as, prone to go fetal on the other side. But I mean, so some of that personality is not profound. It does seem to be settling down, but it was just remarkable the last 30 days. It's like, wow, I totally feel like two people.
Well, you are, because you are an amazing example of Mars retrograde. I'll tell you why, because you have a 2-degree Aquarius rising, and Mars is a 2 degrees Aquarius. So it's within 20 minutes of your rising sign. So it literally just went into your first house when it went into Aquarius, and now it's right on the cusp of about to go back into your 12th house, onto your North Node, and then back into Capricorn. So yeah, I can completely see why. And then, of course, Neptune, you said it's been going on for a month, do you think, or just a couple weeks?
It's been about a month, because it's about the same time. I have a scrunchy, I'm kind of scrunching up. I'm, like working with my posture and stuff. And in my spine, coincidentally, it's at the level of the solar plexus in the back, which is history, and the right side, I tend to scrunch my spine there, and so I've been learning to not sit and to stand taller with it. I mean, I gained a whole half an inch by doing that.
Oh my goodness, seriously?
My height.
Wow.
It's like all this stuff on the right side of the body, that I've been working with. It does seem it's like it's been about 30 days, about a month.
Very
it's
cool.
been about a month.
Wow. Well, when I just did a chart for a month ago, and Moon, like the 30th of June, Moon was in Aquarius, South Node Aquarius, 9-degree Mars, which just went retrograde that week, I believe, at the 25th of June. So it was 5 days retrograde. And then the Sun was at late degree Cancer, but Mercury was at 2 degrees, exactly opposite your rising sign on the descendant at 2 degrees Leo that day. So 1 month ago is when the Mercury energy went into your 7th house, and that's the polarity between your ascendant and descendant. So there is 2 people when that happens. So it's like very much there were all these clusters of planets in Leo and cluster of Moon and Mars in Aquarius. So you had it in the 1st and you had it in the 7th. So because that's pretty close to where we're experiencing the retrograde, and then also, let me see, I'm just looking. So Jupiter now direct, it's not really at your midheaven, but it is up there on the, kind of balancing out the 2 sides of your chart. So Jupiter is wanting you to be in the learning phase and seeking out information that had been formerly hidden. And so you're kind of doing that, and that's the fulcrum, whereas Mars and Sun are kind of the either side of the scales balancing. So right now with Mars retrograde, it makes it a little bit more stressful for you. I'm not going to kid you. It's pretty stressful, and it's a very major, every time you have this degree hit of your ascendant, it is a major fated time in your life, because you have the North Node at 2 degrees Aquarius and the South Node North Node at 0 Aquarius and the South Node at 0 Leo. And that's pretty much where the nodes have been. Yeah.
Nodes were at 0 when I was born?
Yeah, you're October 2nd, 53, right?
Hey.
Yep.
Okay. Is that normal for the nodes to be a 0 in a person's birth chart?
No. They could be at any degree. So it's very, very intense and very profound. And so what I find really wonderful and fascinating about birth charts is when you look at when babies are born in any birth chart, it's amazing to me how there's a synchronistic energy about when they're born. So you came into this earth when the North Node and the South Node were right on the horizon. And right, yeah, I mean, it is profound to me. It's profound because that first moment you take, that first moment you take a breath, that energy was right there for you. So part of your life pattern is connected to major fated changes, like destined changes in your life, and destined because it's North Node in Aquarius and your North Node's on your ascendant. I actually really like that it's a change for you. So relationships and marriage, and also the other 2 houses near the cusp, which is the 12th house and the 6th house, both of those are affected as well for you, because so much information just on those 2 nodes. So I'll explain what the nodes are. The nodes are the moon crosses over the equator. It crosses on both sides of the Earth, okay? And when you have the orbit of the moon crossing on both sides of the Earth across, and I apologize if I got this wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the equator, but it could be one of the like the Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn. But that's the point. That they get it on either side of the Earth, and it's the moon crisscrossing over that point in the Earth. So one side is the north node and one side is the south node. And the south is the point with which we bring in information from past lives and where we're really kind of in a rut almost from what we bring through from the past life. And so the past life it can be something that like, oh, I'm really comfortable with this energy. And for you, it would be Leo. So 0 degrees Leo. It's like creative and connected to people, and you really enjoy social situations, and you may be inclined to put people first above tasks when it comes to work and also home and family, because you have a lot of energy in Leo and Cancer in your house of work. But the Leo energy right there near the cusp of partnership says that there may be a clash that happens and a transformation around work where you've had to give up the creative work or that work life and service life for family or for a partner. And it's kind of an ongoing major shift for you every time there's some type of planet triggering that cusp for you. And because it's not just the nodes, it's also the horizon, there's a shift of ideology and a shift of what you can do. And it's a very strong moment of change in your life. And so not only is it the cusp, but it's also the south node. Not only is it the ascendant, but it's the north node. So you've got this really tremendous impact on your chart between being yourself and being free. It's kind of difficult because the first house is the Aquarius house, which tends to be more of a joint effort. It's the collective, being yourself in the collective. Being in the first house and having Mars there right now, it's very much like, I can't take people. I just want to be doing my own thing. I want to detach. This is me. And on some level right now with Mars, retrograde, you're detaching from self and you're going back into the collective, because when Mars gets back to Capricorn, it's about the collective. It's about the connectedness to structure, which is not what Aquarius wants to do. Your Aquarius rising wants to be free to think, free to act. Mars in Aquarius wants to be free to act. And going back into Capricorn in your 12th house is very much the mud, because Capricorn's earth, and that's the water sign of Neptune and Pisces. So it's about going back into the stuckedness. I don't even know, I'm making up words now. Back into the mud and the quagmire. And that's not where you want to be, and that's frustration. But then the other side of it is you've got family and you've got partner and marriage, and I don't know if you're married or not. You could tell me.
No.
Are you married? Okay.
Not.
But there's energy around partnering with someone, and in Leo it could be a friend. There may be a friend instead of, if you're not married, it could be a partnership with a friend, or even a child, or you have a child that's been coming more back into your life right now and having some things going on. But the service aspect of you, which the South Node in Leo is service, it's a very generous energy. Leo, I love Leo energy, even though some people find it, arrogant or braggadocio or whatever. That's part of it at times, but it's my father is a Leo, so that's my beautiful connection, and my son. It's just really warm, loving, generous energy, and they want to connect. They want to go out and eat and see what you've been doing in your day, and it's just such, to me, pure love. And the sun shines that light there right now, and it's on your moon in Leo, and you have Pluto in Leo. Pluto right now is difficult for you because Pluto's in Capricorn, and it's in conjunct to your natal Pluto, and you're going to be going through quite a few years of that. So, you've got a lot of energy going on in the 7th and also in the 1st. But the 1st, it's going to be a little bit less while Mars is in Capricorn for a bit. Let me just look up real quick here how long that is for you. So Mars in Capricorn until September 12th. So on September 12th, it's going to join back up with your North Node. And what the North Node does is it wants to take the negative energy of the past, which for you would be maybe not feeling connected to the energy of work or service. You might want, honestly, I'm looking like you may not have gotten as much attention for your efforts as you wanted in the workplace. And if the workplace were the home, then you're not getting the attention you deserve. Okay, that's the South Node. It's like it's an issue around connectedness and getting kudos and attention and validation. And in the house of service, it's really difficult. Really, that's the house that Virgo loves, but your Virgo's way up in the 8th house. So the Leo in that service house, it's a little bit of a conflict. There may have been times in work where you felt you deserved more recognition and you didn't get it, and then you have to push harder and say, hey, pay attention to me. And then maybe that could make others resent you because you're saying, well, why is she getting all the attention? And it's this back and forth about where it goes and who gets the attention. On the other side, when Mars gets back into your first house, or at least on your North Node, the North Node wants to express the opposite balancing energy, and that is Aquarius. So that's recognizing you're an individual, but within the collective. So it's not like you have to get all the attention. It's more like you can be who you are while everyone else is who they are, and they all have their purpose and you have your purpose, and we all recognize that we all have our intention and purpose in this life. So it doesn't get to the emotional ego side. It's a very strong energy of detachment from ego. So that being your first house, you have kind of a natural understanding of detachment and much more up in the mental, because that Aquarius energy just wants you to be a thinker and you love learning and you go from one thing to another and you want to find out everything about everything. And it's a really great understanding energy for you.
Yeah, totally.
Do you find that?
Wow, that's a lot. Thank you, and it does explain a lot. I do feel at different points in my life like like this is fated, this is destiny. There must be something happening in the planet that will explain what's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, you do have a lot. There's even more I could go over, but I have another call waiting. Yay for our callers. I didn't promote the show as much this week, so I don't have as many callers, which is a shame. That's on me. But, let me know if you want a fuller reading. There's a lot of stuff in your chart, and we could go over other things. So.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. Take care, Linda. Bye.
Thank you. Bless.
Okay. That was fun. And we have 404. Hi, 404. How are you?
Hey, it's Lolita. How are you?
Hi, Lolita. What's up in your cute little world?
Just want to see how this transit's going to affect me and what house.
Okay. Well, for you, it's pretty potent as well. You have a 27-degree Capricorn midheaven, and that means it's all going to be right at your midheaven. And then, I'm sorry, you said this transit. Which transit specifically? The Mars going back into Capricorn? Or Uranus? Uranus will affect your 12th house. I'll just go around. Mercury just went into your home and family house and is retrograding back into, wait a minute, let me double check that I've got last month. I've got you paired with the June 30th chart that I just called up for our last caller. So give me a second while I get today's date so it's more accurate. There we go. Okay. So Mars is at your midheaven, and let's see, the Mercury retrograde, where's that? That's in your house, a home and family. So it's going to be about children. In specifically in your home and family. So it's creativity around the home. And let's see, Uranus. Where's Uranus for you? Like I said, in your 12th house. So that's going to be probably the place where you're going to, like the Neptune moon energy today, and then Uranus in Taurus retrograding next week is going to be where you're a little bit foggy. And so for you, honestly, having Uranus, in material houses in my chart, you're lucky to have it in a 12th house, because that means that it's more of your thought processes and how you connect to other people on the other side, like when you dream or when you're daydreaming. That will give you more of a shift. And right now, it's kind of slowing down to station, which means it's getting slower and it's going to stop, and then it'll change directions next week. So it's like whatever was going forward as far as entrepreneurial endeavors or things that you wanted to do on your own is going to slow down, and you're going to have to go back into the dreamy quality of that and figure out a new tack. So having Uranus in your 12th now, I mean, it's been there for a while, like years, like I would even say up to a year ago you had it, and it's going to be about 4 more years before it gets out when Uranus gets to 18 degrees. So you're really learning more about value, which is what Taurus is, and how you can express your value through the intuition, through the knowingness that you have in your life. I want to tell you also, because a lot of times I give readings and I talk about Pisces, and I talk a lot about esoteric energy and where it's not tangible. The way that it is tangible is through art, through creativity, through poetry, through photography and film and genealogy. Those are the expressions of a strong Piscean nature. And so anything that can really bring out a creative side or something that gives you a physical, tangible something to look at can help you. And so I would do maybe a bullet journal, something, especially a bullet journal would be really great. And then you could do poetry in it as well. And it can keep you abreast of what your thoughts are and what's coming through, because it's a really, really strong channeling energy, which means that it's a mental clarity coming through. And when Uranus goes retrograde in your chart, you're going to find it gets a little more foggy. But I would keep track of your dreams, because that will help you it'll be a touchstone for what's going on with you and how you express that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, let me look and see if I have anyone else in line. I don't. So if you want to ask me something else, I've got about 9 minutes.
Well, no, it's just interesting. I know we have a lot going on. So with the, I'm intrigued. What is it with the family? Like, or does it just be by your home? Like you said, the Mercury was in retrograde in my house, family.
Yeah, I mean, for you don't have any planets in your family house, so there's not any specific thing in that particular house. Yes. But because there are other planets that represent family members in your chart, I can look at that. And so right now, all of the energy of family members, which would be Mars in your house of dad, and Venus in your house of mom, Mercury in your house of mom, and Neptune in dad's house, you've got a trine going on between Mercury in your chart and Mercury in the sky. So it actually means that there's some fire energy. I would say for you, it could mean a war of words. And I would that is reinforced by the fact that Vesta, the asteroid Vesta is at 22 right on your natal Mercury. And that's like a mom energy that's really more restrictive or, not cooperative to you right now. It's a female energy, someone in authority. It could be in many different realms. It could be even someone who is a teacher or someone who comes across as a matronly, what's the term? Like a master. Like someone who shows you a role model kind of person who is not as cooperative right now. And then you've got Saturn and Capricorn in your 8th house as well. So there's a lot of energy that's really being triggered around. It could be insurance or something that has to do with paperwork. There's a really strong connection between the Saturn and the Vesta in that 8th house on your Mercury around paperwork or restriction or contracts, things like that, insurance contracts, changing contracts, stuff like that. And then Mercury is your sibling, and it could be, and you have Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Neptune all in Sagittarius, which means that your family probably is spread out all over. That's the energy of Sagittarius, that they are all kind of free doing their own thing. And it could is that kind of how your family is? It's like they're over there and they're, like dad's here, mom's there, and, brothers or sisters are still in another place.
Yeah, well, mom and stepdad and my brother are in Pennsylvania, half sisters in Maryland, and I'm in Georgia. And I've just been doing a lot of inner work, doing a lot of karma contract clearings. And so I'm actually at a place of very much deep peace, no triggers. But it's interesting that you said father, because we still have some stuff that needs to get resolved from the father side, blood side, because he's no longer here with us. And my sister is procrastinating. So I'm just sitting back in the awareness, just witnessing the movie, watching all of them from far away and holding space.
Good for
if that
you
makes sense.
to have that patience. Oh, my gosh. It'll happen in October for you. Saturn is 1 degree away from leaving your 8th house of goods of the deceased. And so it's retrograde right now, and it goes direct, when did I say? September? Saturn goes direct the 5th of September, and we'll get back to the last degree. You want it out of the house of goods of the deceased into the 9th house, which is when you get the culmination of what comes to you from the 8th house. The 8th house is legacies and inheritance and whatever the goods are. And then when it gets out of that house, that's when it culminates and comes your way. So if you're looking to, say, get money from the sale of a house, it will come in late October. And it moves in, and let me see, 34th, 30, on the 28th of October. So look forward to Halloween. Halloween will be a very beneficial time for you with Saturn. Saturn goes into the next house. And when Saturn goes into the next house, it joins up with your sun. And so what that's going to mean is you have an opportunity to do either a move or go back to school, because Saturn is about owning your sense of identity. And so once Saturn, it is already within arm's length of your sun, but it's in a different house. When it goes into your 9th house, then it'll actually join up with your sun. And what that means is that you're now the authority. You're the one who knows the information. And instead of being a learner and a student, you can be a teacher. And that's what Saturn wants you to do. And that's coming up next year, at the end of this year and into next year. Let me see how long Saturn takes. Yeah, December is when Saturn is directly on your sun. So that means that you come into your own personal authority, your own career. Saturn is your career. So it's like you merge your sense of identity and authority with what you want to do and the life purpose, because that's what Saturn can be also. It's karma and life purpose. And so it really kind of merges some of that energy. The interesting thing, though, over the next couple years is that Saturn will be moving in conjunct with your natal Saturn in Gemini. And that's kind of the old story on some level, because Saturn going on your sun and in the higher education house means that there's something that's coming in that you're going to learn that is kind of conflicting with the current career. Saturn in Gemini and it's in the house of money. So that's where you get your money, through communications, through education. Gemini can also be like the person who broadcasts or a talk show host. It's the person who wants to disseminate information, and it's duality. So there's more than one career bringing you money.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that, because people always tell me you need to travel the road and really teach what you teach. No matter what goes on in the planetary world, right? Like, your information is very good, but at the end, we can all manage through the energies by still being responsible of dealing with your karma, your past life, your imprints, ancestral. When you start to really dwell on that, the energies are not intense. It's just a knowing and where you're going. So it's a beautiful aspect where I'm at compared to other people that are allowing the universal energies to affect them. But the more peace you have, the more you're able to ride the tide.
That's a really good lesson, and something I need to hear, because I've really tried to – it's hard for me. I'm a newsholic, and I've really tried to not look at the news recently, because, just back off, even for a day, because I notice when I'm not paying attention and then I do my life, I'm calmer, and I'm very passionate. I have a Scorpio rising, so I'm very passionate about politics, and and it's just too much right now. But definitely what you said is absolutely true. Like, you ride the wave crest and then lay on the surface and don't dig deep into it where it's going to knock you about.
Right, because it doesn't serve you. And if you're knowing that the United States has its own astrology report, it doesn't serve you. So it doesn't matter what goes on. And at the end, everybody's on the same journey on Earth School. So do we have a right to give an opinion or judgment? Are you going to allow those energies to interfere with your own inner journey? So don't get worked up on the outer world, because we're all equal. I don't care if you're a president, a human being, a trash person, or doctor. We are all equal beings on this earth, just living our own journey. And, you know, and we're only responsible for our own inner work. And the more we spend time on the outer world, it's time that we're not taking on what we need to handle about ourselves.
Well, that's very profound and wonderful insight that you just gave. So I will meditate on that today. And I want to thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, hon. Appreciate you.
The show with me. Thank you. Appreciate you too.
You got it. Thanks.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. And that's the show for today. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, Uranus Retrograde. We'll talk some more about it. And, just batten down the hatches and try and do some meditation. I think it'll help all of us. All right, take care. See you next week. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com.
This moment of respite is brought to you by Subway. 5 foot long.